Nico Harrison finally got the boot from the Dallas Mavericks, a measly 9 months after pulling off the worst trade in sports since the Boston Red Sox traded Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees. Better late than never, I guess. But just because Nico's changing his Instagram profile to read, "unemployed," it doesn't mean the dumpster fire's out. As soon as Nico floated the idea to trade Luka for Anthony Davis, Patrick Dumont should have fired him. But Dumont failed to stop the Luka trade, and then stumbled over himself at every chance since. If you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard, every day with a singular focus to win, Dumont said earlier this year, rationalizing the trade. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. Right, new owners typically barge in like they own the place because they do and over-meddle everything into chaos. That's what we just witnessed in Phoenix as soon as Matt Ishbia bought the Suns. But in this case, Dumont under-meddled big time. Unless the tinfoil hat conspiracy about the Adelsons deliberately cratering the franchise's value to drag it to Las Vegas has legs, which, full disclosure, I think is total crap. They simply just sleepwalked into trusting the GM they inherited from the Mark Cuban era and let him drain all the life from the franchise. And who'd Dumont hire on an interim basis to replace Harrison? Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi, the two assistant GMs that worked right underneath him. I can't shake the clip of Finley ripping a beer out of Luka's hand after the Mavericks punched their ticket to the NBA Finals just 18 months ago. It's been downhill ever since. At the time, it kinda sorta read as tough love leadership from a former NBA veteran in Finley, who knows what sacrifices it takes to win a championship, like he did in 2007 as a member of the San Antonio Spurs. But in reality the moment framed Luka as some flawed project instead of the cornerstone mid-20s supernova still revving toward his peak. Yes, Nico is gone. Congratulations, Dallas. You've begun to hurl your ex's clothes into the trash and started to move on with your life. Are things going to be better? Yes, because stepping over a sidewalk crack counts as progress. But for Dumont's and Harrison's front office assistants to win the trust of the fans, they need to nail the next steps. And in my opinion, the roadmap couldn't be any clearer. Why Dallas needs to blow it up? The Mavericks have to blow it up and tank their butts off to increase their odds of landing a top pick in a loaded 2026 NBA draft class. They have to trade Anthony Davis. They have to trade Kyrie Irving once he's healthy. They have to trade Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion. They have to trade D'Angelo Russell. And field calls on the younger vets like PJ Washington, Caleb Martin, Daniel Gafford, and Najee Marshall. Everyone except for Cooper Flagg should be on the block. Now, you might be saying, but they just got the first pick to take Flagg with the 11th best odds, so they don't need to bottom out. Sure, you're not wrong, but that had only a 2% chance of happening. And they had only a 9.4% chance of moving into the top 4 and a 90.6% chance of landing outside of the top 10. The Mavericks got incredibly lucky. And now the circumstances have changed because of that good fortune. Flagg is a player worth building around, and current circumstances aren't ideal with him running point guard for an aging group that has a 0% chance of hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And from the front office's standpoint, there is immense pressure to capitalize on the pick this year. The Mavs have their own first in 2026, then don't have the rights to their own pick again until 2031, the Thunder can swap with them in 2028 and the Spurs can in 2030. So this is effectively their last chance to land in the lottery and find a co-star for Flagg. But as bad as the team has been to start the season, this is in part due to the absence of Davis and Irving. Harrison was dead wrong about this team being a championship contender. They've been lapped by multiple other teams in the West. But once healthy, they're certainly play-in caliber. And that would be the ultimate worst-case scenario for a playoff fodder team like Dallas. The time to tank is now. The 2026 draft class is historic. The team with the worst record is guaranteed a top 5 pick. The second worst record is guaranteed a top 6 pick. The third worst record is guaranteed a top 7 pick. And right now, the Wizards, Pacers, and Nets are winning that race, each with 1 to 10 records. Finishing with the 5th, 6th or 7th pick might seem unappealing in most draft classes. But this 2026 draft class is quite different. It could be historic. All the attention is on Kansas guard Darren Peterson, BYU wing AJ Dybantsa and Duke power forward Cam Boozer, but this draft class is about more than them. Players like North Carolina power forward Caleb Wilson, Tennessee wing Nate Ammond and Louisville guard Mikel Brown could push for the top 3. Meaning, there are at least 6 players who a team would happily draft with a top 2 or 3 pick in almost any other year. It is undoubtedly the best class since the NBA flattened the odds in 2019 to actually lose on lottery night. It's time to surround Cooper Flagg with talent on his timeline, starting with the 2026 draft. We all know great players can be found all around the draft. Outside of the top two, shout out Dirk Nowitzki, the teens, the late 20s, the second round, Hall of Famers get picked at every spot in the draft. But the highest odds of finding them have come at the top in every single era of basketball. It's early in the college basketball season, but already the draft class is feeling even stronger at the top than anticipated. By June, it might be even better given the development that can occur. To put it into perspective, some executives around the NBA say that if Flagg had never reclassified and were instead part of this 2026 group, he probably would be the third pick at best but could go as low as fifth or sixth. That is how special this group could be, so the chance to acquire one of them is why we're already seeing teams bottom out so hard. The Mavericks could end up with one of those picks without making any trades at all, obviously. But there's an opportunity in front of them to be sellers. Davis would immediately become the best player on the trade market, and even if he doesn't get traded now he won't be in Dallas forever. Davis has one more guaranteed year on his contract, so he could become a free agent in 2027. There is no better time to trade him, at age 32, with 3 years and $175 million remaining on his deal.